Okay. Yeah.
He's not signed.
I need to present a bill. So we have up here is Assembly Bill 353 by Assemblymember Lackey. If you would, please. And Senator Jackson will be here to assist in any way she can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. Dela's here, too.
Good morning, Assemblyman Lackey, AB 353. Please come forward.
Your microphone's
Okay, Chair and members, I'm here today to present Assembly Bill 353, which is a critical bill for my district. I'd like to start by accepting the committee's suggested amendments, and I would like to extend my most sincere thanks to the committee and committee staff for the substantial time spent working with me to get a solution to this legislation. AB 353 will provide a very narrow exemption for the taking of a fully protected species for a habitat restoration project by the Los Angeles County Public Works Department. The project will restore habitat in Bouquet Canyon Creek, which is in North Los Angeles County. Bouquet Canyon Creek contains the unarmored three-spined stickleback fish, easier referred to, I guess maybe not, as the UTS, which is a fully protected species under the Fish and Game Code, Section 5515. The need for AB 353 arose in the winter of 2004 with a large flood in the Bouquet Canyon Creek area, and it caused a substantial sediment buildup in the creek bed, which has now grown worse over time. Much to the detriment of the UTS, over the past decade, LA County Public Works Department has been working in conjunction with state and federal agencies on a habitat restoration project. But in order for the habitat restoration process to begin, the project must receive a narrow exemption from Fish and Game Code Section 5515. The project is vital for the future of the UTS in Bouquet Canyon Creek and warrants a very narrow exemption. AB 353 requires some of the highest standards under California law for managing the take of the UTS and includes numerous safeguards to ensure the project is conducted in an environmentally responsible way. With me today to provide technical advice only, he's not here to support the bill, but is here for technical advice, is Ed Dingman from LA County Public Works.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Ed Dingman, LA County Department of Public Works. Bouquet Creek has for many years provided a home for a population of unarmored stickleback UTS. However, in recent years, the quality of habitat for the UTS in the creek has deteriorated significantly. This deterioration is a result of significant sediment deposition within Bouquet Creek, reducing both its capacity to convey water and the quality of aquatic and riparian habitat. The Department of Public Works is proposing a habitat restoration project to remove sediment and dense vegetation from several segments of the creek in order to restore the flow carrying capacity. In conjunction with river hydrogeologists, we will re-engineer the impacted portions with the goal of creek stability under a number of different flow regimes, limiting future deposition and scour as much as possible. We can recontour the stream bed and banks in a manner most suitable for UTS habitat. Public Works restoration efforts will focus on reestablishing the riparian plant community to provide optimal soil stability, shade, and protection from steering bank erosion, ultimately enhancing fish and wildlife habitat and biological function within the creek. Public Works will also create a backwater preserve for aquatic species habitat at a former campground site, creating a ponding area with a side channel connection to the creek. This area will assist the wildlife agencies in enhancing the long-term restoration of UTS in Bouquet Creek, as it will create an off-stream refuge for UTS to shelter under stressful environmental conditions. And thank you for your time.
Appreciate your testimony. Are there any others in support of AB 353 at this time? Is there any opposition to AB 353 at this time? If you would come forward, please.
Good morning. I'd just like to make here, this is Eddie Moreno with Sierra Club, California. We do support the project. We want to see it go forward. And we have been talking with the office about amendments to help make us feel more comfortable about this. But until that language is, in print, we have to formally oppose. So again, Sierra Club, California must oppose this bill, which sets a bad statewide precedent by amending the fully protected species statute to allow the take of otherwise fully protected species, or take would not otherwise be allowed for specific projects. It is Sierra Club California statewide policy to oppose special exemptions for statewide take prohibition, protecting certain species for a particular project, unless the conditions of the authorizing take will ensure that the species will in fact be better off following the project. We feel that this cannot be accomplished under the certain language, the current language of the bill. And I have a number of specific technical issues we have. I don't know if you want me to go through those, but I could leave it at this for now.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there any others in opposition to the bill at this time? If not, any questions? Senator Jackson?
Thank you. Yes, if you could clarify, there were a series of amendments suggested to the bill that are identified in the analysis, starting at page 3, number 3, A, B, C, D, E, and F, G, and H. There are a series of those amendments. Are you familiar with those amendments? And before I ask you that, did you accept those amendments?
I did, yes.
All right, so given the fact that the author has accepted the recommended amendments, which I think were in part designed to address some of your concerns, are you aware of those amendments?
Yeah, I have presented it to my committees, and they do satisfy some of the concerns, but a number of them we still have issues, and we're still working with the office with the understanding that there would be more amendments taken in the next committee, but I have to rediscuss that with the office at this point.
So may I, through the chair, inquire of the Assemblymember Lackey, is that your understanding that there may be some additional amendments that would satisfy the concerns of the Sierra Club that you're prepared to discuss going forward?
We're definitely prepared to discuss any amendments that are reasonable.
Okay, and understanding, I find your concerns legitimate, but my understanding is that these amendments have addressed, and I appreciate the Assembly member taking those concerns. And of course, you're in a chat, you're darned if you do and darned if you don't here. And but I want to be clear, because I'm inclined to vote for this bill with the understanding that it has that the amendments have addressed most, if not all, of your concerns. So did you just articulate what are still the outstanding concerns, or were those the concerns that you had before the amendments were taken?
I'd have to, at the moment, I can't specifically distinguish them at the moment, so I'd have to go back and speak with the committee.
Well, may I inquire of the Assemblymember Lackey, is it your understanding that these amendments have addressed the concerns of the Sierra Club?
It is.
Okay. So I would, without the chair here and all, I would just, with those representations, I will support the bill and hope that the Sierra Club is satisfied with them as they were presented by the committee staff and the analysis here. It seems like they do, but I'm not an expert on this particular issue, and so I'm going to hope that those are resolved, and you have the commitment from the Assembly member to continue talking if they haven't. So with that, I'll be happy to move the bill.
Thank you, Senator, for moving the bill, and thank you, Assemblyman Lackey, for taking on the amendments and continuing to work with the Sierra Club, and appreciate you coming forward here today. Is there anybody else in opposition to the bill before we begin to take a vote on this? Seeing none, this is going to be referred to appropriations. Do you want to have a closing statement, Assemblyman?
No, I just would like to reassure everybody here that we believe that this has very strict safeguards in place, and we understand the sensitivity of dealing with a protected species, and we ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Just one final question, if I may. Does this require a 404 permit to get in there? And
Yes, it will.
It will. So this will not interfere with that?
This will, no, it won't interfere at all.
Great. Thank you very much for that answer.
And the motion is do pass as amended to appropriations. Senators Pavley, Stone.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Allen, Hertzberg, Hueso, Jackson. Jackson, aye. Monning, Vidak. Vidak, aye. Wolk.
We'll hold the roll open.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblyman Dolly, welcome. AB 429.
Thank you, members, Chairman and members. I appreciate you taking the time to hear my bill. I'm here presenting AB 429, which requires state and its agencies to purchase wood and wood products that have either been harvested under the Zeeberg-Nedley Forest Practices Act or verified under ARB's carbon forest offset. We got this bill out of our House with no opposition. There has been no votes to date on this bill. We did have some late opposition coming in from the Canadian consulate, and we tried to address their issues. We met with them early, and then later on last week they came to us, and there was some opposition to the bill. I want to talk about the opposition. We've taken several amendments to ensure that AB 429 in no way violates the WTO. First, we amended the bill to expand eligibility to those that meet ARB's carbon forest offset protocols. Other countries and states can and have met these standards, and this is not a California-only standard. Second, we amended the bill to clarify that we are only talking about direct state contracts, not subcontractors. Finally, we got an oral opinion from Legislative Counsel Office about the legality of AB 429 and the suggested amendments to the effect of that this bill is in effect the extent consent with federal law, which we took. We also had a call to the U.S. Trade Office in D.C., who did not think this bill would negatively impact the U.S. trade partners. They did, however, suggest a technical amendment to the bill, since the WTO are not technically federal law, but are instead international obligations. We are happy to accept those suggestions. Today I have with me Scott Wetch with the Forest Industries National Labor Management Committee to testify, and also Kristen Polticki from the California Forestry Association. Sorry, Kristen.
Well, welcome to all of you.
Oh, and Mark Plicky, too.
Mr. Chairman and members, Scott Wetch on behalf of the Labor Management Committee of the Forest Products Industry. I represent all the men and women who are employed within the timber and wood products industry in California: carpenters, machinists, woodworkers, paper and pulp workers, several other unions who are in that industry. Since I've been representing them for almost 15 years, we've lost thousands of jobs in California. We've seen the cost of regulatory compliance in California continue to increase. And with the increased cost of every THP, we have seen a precipitous decline in the number of timber harvest plans that have been filed. What does that mean to my members? That means fewer trees going to mills and other production facilities, fewer hours, and more unemployment. When the recession hit in 2008, this industry, had it been owned by corporate America and Wall Street, would be non-existent in California. But because most of the companies in California are tightly held, family-owned operations, they kept the doors open out of their own pocket and kept my members employed. I go and visit these mills, and every year I sit around with these members and they talk to me about, why is California doing this, killing this industry? We see them doing things to assist the entertainment industry with runaway production to Canada, but nobody does anything to help with the flood of cheap lumber being dumped in California. This is not a huge bill. This is not going to turn around this industry, but for a rural economy where these types of jobs are so few and far between, and when you lose a job in a mill in Fort Bragg, you lose your life, because there's no absorption, there's no other jobs for you to go and get. You have to move your family from that community. So in all due respect to the Canadian government, I represent Californians, and I would urge this committee to pass this bill And while it won't have a huge impact, it is one that I think is important and an important signal to those people who live in those rural communities, my members, good union members with good paying jobs. So we urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Kirsten Kolpitke with the California Forestry Association in support of the bill. The Forestry Association is sponsoring AB 429 because the legislature made the environmental protection of our forest a priority when they passed the Zeeburg-Nidgely Forest Practices Act. And while California has the strictest environmental standards in the world, and my clients meet those requirements every single day, the state can purchase wood outside the state and country that doesn't adhere to our standards. We believe the state should practice what it preaches. This bill is a small measure, but would serve as a large indication that the state of California acknowledges the environmental benefits of the comprehensive forest practice requirements.
Thank you for your testimony.
Mr. Chair, members, Brian White here on behalf of the California Licensed Foresters Association. We are the state's registered professional foresters that certify all the THPs that must be done when you want to harvest a tree. Also here on behalf of the Forest Landowners of California in support of the bill.
Thank you for your testimony.
Mr. Chairman, Mark Palicki for Sierra Pacific Industries in support of the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, Chris McKaylee on behalf of Humboldt and Mendocino Redwood Companies, also in support.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Kathy Lynch representing the Western Wood Preserves Institute in support.
Thank you for testimony.
Mr. Chairman, Eric Carlson, Associated California Loggers, representing the middle-class family-owned companies in rural California, very endangered by what's happening with jobs, and we have the issues of wildfire, need for biomass collection, what have you. It ties into things like this. Thank you very much. Support.
Thank you, sir.
Gary Reinierson, Green Diamond Resource Company. We have timberlands in California, Oregon, and Washington, and we support this bill.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Noel Kramers with California Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you.
Valerie Nerith with California Chamber in support.
Thank you.
Chuck Henderson, Shasta Forest Timberlands, Red River Forest in support.
Thank you for testimony. Any others in support of AB 429? Please come forward. If not, we'll invite the opposition to AB 429 to come forward at this time. Is there anyone here to oppose the bill? Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Morning, Mr. Chair, distinguished members of the California Senate. My name is Cassie Doyle. I'm the Consul General for Canada in Northern California, and I'm here to share Canada's concerns related to AB 4029, and that's really for the record. I know that a number of members, our representatives at the consulate have met with a number of you or members of your staff, and we've had a really good dialogue, and we appreciate the efforts of Assemblyman Daly and have met with him as well. I wanted to just start by saying that Canada is one of California's best customers. We are the second largest destination for California exports. The value of California's trade and investment relationship with Canada exceeded $46 billion last year and represents more than 1 million jobs in California, which depend on trade and investment with Canada. Our position around AB 4029 is that the procurement preferences contemplated in this bill send the wrong message to businesses and investors by creating a barrier to market access for wood products from outside of California. If passed into law, this bill would be inconsistent with California's international trade commitments under the World Trade Organization's Agreement on Government Procurement, WTO GPA. Canada and the United States, including Canada's 10 provinces and 3 territories, and 37 U.S. states, including California, are parties to the WTO GPA. These commitments include procurement by all executive branch agencies. The articles on national treatment and non-discrimination require that parties do not discriminate between domestic goods and those of other WTO GPA parties. So let me just emphasize that Canada shares California's commitment to the highest environmental standards for industrial forestry in the world. Canada's forest management practices are based on stringent regulatory frameworks requiring comprehensive forest management planning, science-based ecosystem management, robust community engagement, and substantial efforts in conservation and protected areas. As such, our position is that Canada's provinces have a comparable framework for governing timber operations as that set out in California's Zeeburg-Nidgely Forest Practices Act of 1973. Canada's concerns with the proposed bill is that there is no means by which California could verify that Canada's provinces and territories are in compliance with California's Forest Practices Act. The same holds for the amendments in Assembly Bill 429 that would permit access to timber that has been verified under a compliance offset protocol for U.S. forest products. We truly appreciate the efforts to accommodate our concerns, but as with the California Forest Practices Act, there is no means at present for California to verify compliance with a forest offset protocol outside of the United States. We note that California's Public Contract Code already directs environmentally preferable purchasing measures by state agencies. Unlike the proposed bill, however, these existing measures allow state agencies to adhere to high standards of environmental protection without imposing a verification and compliance burden that would impede fair market access for other WTO GPA parties. In conclusion, Canada respectfully requests that the California Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Water hold AB 429 for further study until the committee is satisfied that the bill could be applied in a manner that supports California's international trade obligations and in a manner that encourages trade and investment with top trading partners and neighbors like Canada. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're honored to have you here today. Thank you for your testimony. Senator Jackson?
Yes, you know, I see all sorts of pros and cons here. I want to, you know, support California with all due respect to Canada. It's a great place, but these are our people, the economy, the work that people have, the family-owned businesses. I mean, it just sounds like a great TV show. All the good guys in the room. And at the same time, there is a question about our trade relationships. You know, this could become a tit for tat. Well, you won't let us do this, then we won't let you do that. And I think that also undermines, I think, an excellent trade relationship we've had with Canada and the fact that products move you know, back and forth, I think, with great ease and great benefit to both countries. So I'm in a bit of a quandary. So let me ask my question. How much money are we talking about? What is the potential consequence if we sort of create this California preference? And I think the way it's written is that all things being equal, which, you know, that seems like a pretty fair, no plus, nothing weighted other than if all things are equal, you know, we want to recommend that we go California first. What kind of money are we talking about in this?
The estimate has been $1.4 million is the maximum amount.
1.4 million?
Yes. Yeah.
State purchased wood in 2014.
Yeah, it's not very much.
It's direct purchases only,
direct purchases only $1.4 million.
Survey stakes, highway signs, median.
Guardrail. Post.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Questions? Senator Vidak.
I guess my thought was if I had that money, I'd just throw it in you know, and we wouldn't have to worry about this deal. It's just 1.4 million is what we're talking about.
That would be the maximum that we, in the last cycle.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
Senator Vidak.
$1.4 million, and then maybe this will help too. I don't know, but if we use native California lumber products here and are not shipping it from other places, other states, vast miles, the carbon footprint would be smaller here. That would be good for the environment.
Correct.
Any other comments at the time? I didn't ask. Is there any other opposition that would like to come forward before we begin to accept a motion? If not, my comments, I really appreciate the Consul General being here. We're not talking about a lot of money. I think Senator Vidak brings up a very good point, the carbon footprint of importing versus using our domestic wood that has really been hampered through onerous regulations over the years, especially with dead wood that needs to be removed, prevention of forest fires. I think it's a de minimis impact on the agreements, although Assemblyman Dali has made it very clear that he's talk with Legislative Council about the legalities of the World Trade Organization. We want to keep our good partnership with Canada, especially having a maternal grandmother that came from Canada that lived here as a Canadian and died here as a Canadian, a very proud Canadian. At this time, I'm going to make the motion to approve Assembly Bill 429. And so we'll let you have a close.
Thank you for that motion. I would just say that we have very much worked really close with the consulate, and I appreciate their time. This is not about trying to start a trade war with anybody. This is just about, we do this with energy. We buy green energy in California. This is along those same lines of trying to lessen our carbon footprint and be more environmentally sound and give a good product to the state of California. So I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
This is a de minimis amount of money in comparison to what is spent on wood products in the state of California, and the Consul General is doing her job and being here. I think it's more symbolic that she wants to preserve a good trading partnership with the United States, which I think we all support. We appreciate the good partnership that we had with Canada over many years, but I think it's also symbolic that we can say we want to buy from California first. Hopefully this is going to resonate into other industries that are outsourcing jobs and products to other countries at a time when our unemployment numbers aren't where we would like them to be at this time. So with that, we'll make the roll call. We're going to be referring this to appropriations. That's where it's going to go next.
Senators Pavley, Stone.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Allen, Hertzberg, Hueso, Jackson, Monning, Vidak. Aye. Vidak, aye. Wolk.
We're going to keep the roll open. Assemblyman Dawley, thank you for being here. Thank you, Consul General. We'll now next go to AB 446. Assemblyman Ridley Thomas, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Senator. It's a pleasure to join you today in the committee. I am here to present AB 446, which is an important bill for Greater Los Angeles and the area that I represent. It simply deletes the sunset required under current statute for a conservancy that is a major economic development and green space component for the Los Angeles and Southwest Los Angeles area. It's been very successful. It's been a good steward of funds, and we certainly hope that we can enjoy this committee's support. It has been bipartisan in its moving forward, and we hope that that can continue today. If there are any questions of the committee, I'll be more than happy to address them.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark Fenstermaker here on behalf of the Nature Conservancy in support of this bill. Really appreciate the Assembly member bringing this forward, his leadership on this issue. We view the Conservancy as a needed partner in the region and want to see them continue to do the fine work that they do. So we strongly urge your support and your aye vote here today. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We can have others in support of AB 446 come forward, please.
Good morning. I'm Victoria Rome with the Natural Resources Defense Council, also in support.
Thank you for your testimony.
Juan Altamidano on behalf of Audubon, California, in support.
Thank you.
Ed Behrens on behalf of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors in support.
Thank you for your testimony.
Kyle Jones with Sierra Club, California, in support.
Thank you.
Margot Parks on behalf of the California State Parks Foundation in support.
Thank you for your testimony. Any others in support of AB 446? Anybody in opposition to AB 446? I'd like to welcome Senator Wolk back to the dais.
Who doesn't love green space, Senator?
Any questions of Assemblyman Ridley Thomas at this time? If not, we'll allow the Assemblyman to give a closing statement.
Well, thank you for your consideration. Hope that we can enjoy this committee support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Senator Vidak. This will be passed to appropriations. Will you call roll, please?
Senators Pavley, Stone.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Allen, Hertzberg, Hueso, Jackson, Monning, Vidak. Aye. Vidak, aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
We'll keep the roll open, Assemblyman. Thank you for being here. Okay, we're going to wait for some other authors to come. I'll get a cup of coffee.
You guys can do the consent calendar if you wanted.
Yeah, we could first look.
You want to do that now?
Sure.
Okay, at this time we're going to do the consent calendar. I'll move it at this time. This is for file items 11, I'm sorry, there she is. File item 8, AB 530, file item 10, AB 644, file item 12, AB 824, file item 19, AB 1034, file item 20, AB 1061, and finally, final item AB 27, AJR 18.
Senators Hertzberg, Hueso, Monning, Wolk. Wolk, aye. So we can lift the call for Senator Wolk if you want on the rest of the items. Do you want to do that?
Yes. Did you get my eye on the consent?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then Senator Wolk will call the items to catch you up here if we can. You're welcome.